Chapter 55, An Empty Nest.
The day of the big move had arrived. Mom sadly said goodbye to the home that had held so many memories. However, with Amy moving to Nicaragua and the rest of the children married, Mom and Dad didn't need much space anymore. Brian's growing family needed more space. Mom and Dad were downsizing and moving back to the lighthouse where they had first lived when they came to Redding. Mom felt the winds of time changing life for everyone. She tried not to feel sad, but remembered that there were many exciting adventures ahead for them, their children, and their grandchildren. The opportunities of working for the Lord were endless. She repeated those thoughts over and over to herself as she watched Amy board the plane for Nicaragua. Amy had decided to move to Central America to help homeschool Keith and Beth Gaiman's children. She would also be kept busy with church and community activities. The car ride back home was quiet. Dad finally spoke. "Don't be sad, Norma. This is what we've raised our children for. We want them to go out and help the hurting people in the world." Mom dabbed away the tears that were starting to appear in the corners of her eyes. "I know, but it is so hard to let them go. I also know that we won't have her at home for long after she gets back. Her boyfriend Ryan seems like a perfect fit for her, and they will probably get married soon after she gets home." Dad laughed at Mom's prediction. "Let's not worry about the future right now. We'll just pray for Amy each day and look forward to her letters and phone calls." Mom felt like a little girl again. She could barely contain her excitement. They would be accompanying the high school class on their mission trip to Nicaragua. Mom shivered as she dashed from the bus into the airport. "Well, I'm glad we are finally inside the airport. I would have brought my jacket, but I won't be needing it where we are going." The plane ride seemed to take forever, and Mom anxiously awaited the descent. "There she is," Mom called excitedly as she grasped Dad's arm. Amy came running to greet them. Dad and Mom dropped their luggage and engulfed her in a big hug. There was so much to talk about, and Amy eagerly filled them in on all the happenings of her life in Nicaragua. Over the next few days, time was filled with service projects, fabric shopping, and some sightseeing. The students were amazed by the world around them that was so different from their own. "I feel like throwing up when I see the raw meat just hanging in the marketplace, especially the iguana meat. Where's the refrigerator?" One of the teenage girls wrinkled her nose and made a gagging sound. Another girl laughed. "Oh, you'll live. Remember, this is not the United States." Dad leaned over to Mom and commented, "It amazes me how much this city has such beautiful architecture and strong Catholic history and religion, yet they lack the knowledge of Jesus in their hearts." The next day, the students eagerly gulped down breakfast and packed into cars for their trip to a volcano. The cars slowly wound their way up to the top. A guard at the gate gave them some verbal instructions as he pointed to a sign. A missionary translated. The sign said, "All vehicles need to be parked facing the road in case of an emergency departure." Mom's face grew worried. "That sounds scary. Is there any danger that it will erupt?" One of the missionaries calmed her fears. "They have to do this for basic safety reasons. It is just their standard procedure. The volcanoes are monitored closely. If there were any danger, we would not have been allowed to come up here." The students cautiously walked close to the edge and peered down. They noticed wisps of smoke rising from the inside of the earth. Oohs and ahs erupted from the students as they watched in amazement. They felt small compared to such a large force of nature. All too soon, their time in Nicaragua was ending, and it was necessary to say goodbye once again. Dad looked Amy in the eyes. "You are serving God's kingdom here. Your mother and I couldn't be happier about that." Amy said, "Thanks, Dad. Even though I miss my family and home a lot sometimes, I feel at peace with being here." She gave Mom and Dad a big hug and waved goodbye. Mom and Dad could hardly wait for Amy's return from Nicaragua. The years slowly passed, and they eagerly waited for each letter that would arrive from her. The day finally came for Amy to come home. Mom and Dad and all her brothers, sisters, nieces, and nephews piled into a school bus to go pick her up at the airport. When they arrived, they had to wait a while for Amy's plane to land. When they saw that her plane had landed, they went into the airport to meet her. When Amy saw her family, she ran to them. They surrounded her in big hugs with everyone talking at once. Mom smiled through her tears. "I missed you so much, Amy." Amy wrapped her arm around Mom's shoulders and laughed. "Well, now you're stuck with me for a while." Now they all loaded onto the bus for the ride home. The way home was a riot, hearing stories from both Nicaragua and Redding.